This is Alex with WMD, and today we're going to talk about the Rossum Evolution filter. This is one of my favorite filters on the market. As a person who's been playing Moog synthesizers for a long time, I love the ladder sound of the Moog filter, and the Rossum filter is a really good supplement or replacement for something like that. My main issue with the Moog filter has always been when you turn up the resonance, you lose a little bit of fatness out of the bass sound. So right now, just so you know what patch I have going on, I have the WMD SSF monolith set up just like a mini Moog. So I have just a saw wave oscillator, the Spectrum oscillator going into the Rossum, into the amplitude VCA here, which is being controlled by the ADSR VCA's envelope, and then the second envelope is controlling the Rossum Evolution filter. And then I also have the Moog here. The output of the Moog is just coming into the toolbox into the WMD SSF toolbox, and that's just so we can play both at the same time, so we can just show back to back exactly what they sound like as far as the comparison goes. So here we go with the Moog. As you can tell right now, I'll just play a note, and as we turn up the resonance, we lose a little bit of that low end. But we've got a really cool filter sound, so. And that's just one of my favorite filter sounds of all time. I just love that Moog sound. So with the Evolution here, here's kind of the same thing. We'll turn down the Q. Now we'll turn it up. You kind of hear that low end disappear just like on the Moog, and now we'll do side-by-side comparisons of the sounds. So as you can tell, we've got a very, very similar sound here. What's cool with the Rossum is now we can bring up this Q level compensation knob. So we can bring a little bit of that low end back in here. You can see it just adds some fatness and warmth to the sound compared to now the Moog. Bring it up even more. Can really crush some subs in a venue. And you can just tell in comparison to the Moog again, just got a lot more low end and a lot more power coming out of it. So as far as the filter goes, it's very versatile as well. There's a lot of cool features you can do. So it does have a volt per octave input, and it's basically, it doesn't have a control like the Moog does, but it's basically about the exact same as having the keyboard amount knob halfway up on the Moog. So you can hear kind of flub that note, but you can hear the difference. You can hear that they're very, very similar, I mean, as far as the tracking goes. So getting into the versatileness, we can also change the pole amount. So right now on the Moog, it's a 4-pole filter, and we have a 4-pole filter on the Rossum. I believe that you can change it to a 2-pole filter on the Moog Subfatty with the Subfatty editor. But I've never done that because I don't ever go into software editors. That's another thing what's so nice about modulars. Everything's on the panel. So here with the Rossum, we can change through the poles and get a little bit less of a steep curve here. Or go all the way up to 3 poles, get real sharp. Bring that Q compensation back. Bring up the Q a little bit more. So another really cool feature of the Evolution that you would think would be similar to the Moog, but it's actually completely different, is its distortion circuit. So with the Evolution, here we go. We'll make sure we kind of have kind of the same sound here. Turn down the Q compensation. So now we can turn up the Q and you'll hear it get real squelchy, just like the Moog. Turn down that all the way so it sounds very similar. So now with the species knob, this is distortion. This is distorting the resonance circuit, so it's distortion over the resonance. You can kind of hear it disappear in the back. Just kind of become more of like in the mix kind of sound with the oscillators. Bring up that Q compensation again. Now we've got a real mean sounding, just like oscillator, but you can understand it'll still like sound real nice inside of your inside of the mix. So this is a lot different than the Moog's multi-drive, which is just purely overdrive. So that's just like a very unique sound that you don't get. And when you use CV over that, you don't get with the Moog. And when you use CV over something like that, it sounds really cool because it's basically like you're turning up and down resonance, but instead of just doing that, you get a much different, more unique kind of sound when you change it. So that was a little squelchy, but I just love the way that sounds. All right, so now just to get a little bit more creative and a little bit more advanced with it, we can do some fun things with the Genus CV and the second frequency or the third frequency input. So another cool thing that the Rossum has, that the Evolution has, is you have a volt per octave input for tracking, just like your keyboard amount. Then you have frequency CV2, which is just your envelope gate amount, how much it's going to follow the envelope generator. And then the third one you can use for LFO frequency, or what we're going to do is kind of like a feedback, pitch feedback technique. So we're running the sub oscillator of the spectrum into the third input here. And as we turn it up, you should hear it track, but you're not hearing it track. There we go. So right now we have the Spectrum's sub-oscillator output going into the third input of the frequency for the Evolution. So you can hear when we turn that up and the frequency's down a little bit. We've got some added low frequency harmonics that just adds a little bit of bass tone, kind of like a sub-oscillator sound, but without actually using the output of the sub-oscillator. Turn that up even more, it gets real gnarly. Just kind of nice to mix in some subtle more than frequencies into your patch. All right, and so one more thing we're going to do is a very similar technique. We'll just use that same technique to modulate the Genus knob here. So as you can hear, we've got just the regular 4-pole sound. Give it a little bit of resonance, maybe a little key level compensation. Now when we add that sub oscillator into the Genus CV, it's a much more subtle kind of sound, and it's just a very unique way of modulating a filter. It's something that you don't really get on most filters, and especially most fixed architecture synths like the mix those two techniques. Kind of gets some even gnarlier, weirder sounds. And that's my take on the Rossum Evolution filter. Thanks for watching.